Welcome back to Medill Sports Talk. You're tuning in on the block. Different setup, but we haven't changed. I am Toran.
And I'm Louis Ricard. Let's get right to it. We had a lot of fun covering the All-Star weekend, but the last leg of the season is underway and teams are ready to make their final push.
With that being said, let's take a look at some of our early award winners for 2019, man. And let's start in a place where we did not see a lot of it in the All-Star game, and that's going to be defense, Louis. Who we got for Defensive Player of the Year?
I mean, we have three candidates right now. I think Paul George, Giannis, and Miles Turner are among the front runners for this race. But I think Paul George is going to take it ultimately. He's the best two-way player in the league right now, and he really revolutionized the way defense is played in OKC. Now, mind you, he does have a good teammate with Russell Westbrook, but his IQ is really underrated. When he comes to it, he can anticipate the plays and really turn it into points with fast break score and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's something to be said here in the NBA, and especially in this style of play, to be the best two-way player in the league. If you look at the way Paul George sets himself up and positions himself on the floor, it's elite. You can see the clock. You can see the clock of his ball IQ clicking in his head as he anticipates passing lanes and jumps in for steals and this, that, and third. And not that Giannis Antetokounmpo isn't playing well, and not that Miles Turner isn't playing well, because we see jumps, especially in Miles Turner's game. George just looks beautiful out there, man. I know Giannis has the highest defensive rating, and Turner leads the league in blocks, but George leads the league in steals, and I think it's good to see the fact that he's taken over that Oklahoma team on both sides, Oklahoma City team on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. Now let's look at another category with this time maybe a little bit less of a debate. Who do you got as your Rookie of the Year, Drake?
I think it's Luka Doncic by a mile. I don't think it's close. He's excuse me. He's flashy. He's crisp. He's everything you want in a rookie, especially coming from EuroLeague. What about you?
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't by far, obviously. His ability to close games and come into clutch time as a 19-year-old teenager. Remember that, people, teenager. You know, he's really taken that Dallas franchise, by himself with the help of Dirk mentoring him really well. But I do think that his ability of, those step-back threes, that look and that perception he has, on the floor, finding his teammates open, I do think that he really makes a case for himself. You can't forget about Trae Young with the Atlanta Hawks. He's been doing really well, but Luka is just too good right now.
For sure, for sure. Now let's go to the guys on the sideline, man. We got two mics. So who you got for Coach of the Year, Louis?
I mean, I don't know if it's a controversial opinion, but I do think that Mike Malone with the Denver Nuggets should win this award right now, because the Denver Nuggets were not expected to get anywhere close to the top 3 seed in the Western Conference. However, he really took this team and really made them work together with the help of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. They have really good young pieces, but I do think that he comes ultimately as the best leader for this team. And I mean, if you look at the video with Jamal Murray when he's just bodying him and scoring buckets on him, you can't just stop that, man.
It's gorgeous, man. That pull-up jump was silky. And I love Denver. I love what they're doing. But in the top-heavy East, I'm going to have to go with Mike Budenholzer. I don't think anybody expected the Bucks to be here sitting in the 1 seed with the best record in the league right now. They're playing good. They're 9-1 over their last 10. And we know how deep the West is as itself. Mm-hmm. But the East is comparable in the sense that it's extremely top-heavy. When you're talking Toronto with Kawhi, when you're talking a struggling Boston team right now, but coming into the year they thought they were going to be great, and Philly, and even Indiana, even though they're without Oladipo. Many thought those teams could be ahead of Milwaukee in the standings, but now we see ourselves a little bit past the halfway point, and they're in the driver's seat. You see them handle the Warriors at home, and this team is just looking good, and I think Budenholzer and the front office has done a good job of surrounding Giannis with the pieces necessary as far as optimal defenders and optimal shooters around him, and you're seeing the fruition of that on the floor.
And speaking of Giannis, let's look at another trophy, and a really close one with 3 candidates for MVPs this year. The race could not be tighter. Who do you think takes it all?
I mean, Antetokounmpo has been great, man, and you see the clip playing right now. He has been the most dominant and consistent force out of him and other guys, right? But we live in a society, in a place in space where complacency kicks in when you're doing something at a consistent level for such a long period of time. I mean, he looks good, he looks awesome, but you got guys who are comparable, like as far as James Harden, maybe? And you want to touch on that?
I mean, James Harden, although his streak, of 30-point games just ended, is one of the best and most fun players to watch with the Houston Rockets. His only downfall is that it's kind of a one-man show out there. Clint Capella was injured for a while, finally is back on the lineup, and Chris Paul is kind of struggling and is being inconsistent with on and off injuries. James Harden, as good as he is, I don't know if he can sustain that level of excellence throughout the end of the season. I do think that he has a lot of talent. I do think he should be talked about, but I think that one guy we can both agree on deserves it this year.
Paul George, man. Paul George, baby. It's easy. I think if he's able to help OKC get into a 2 seed, even though they lost to Denver last night, with you being the best two-way player in the league and him being the best player on the Oklahoma City Thunder team, I think he could run away with it late.
I mean, are you talking about a comeback story? If they had the NBA version of the comeback player of the year, Paul George deserves it. After his injury with the USA minicamp, he's been showing tremendous strides with Indiana and now with OKC. He's been doing really well. He really deserves it.
Okay. And staying in the NBA, moving forward, we see Adam Silver made a proposal to the NBA's Player Association Board. I'm talking about lowering age, Louis. What we got on that?
Absolutely. The commissioner offered to lower the age restriction to become draft eligible at 18 years old instead of 19. What do you think of that, Dre?
At the center of this is Zion Williamson. One man. Because there's so many branches you can break off or so many strings that's attached to him. You got, should NCAA players be played? We saw that ticket for that Duke UNC game was over $2,000. That was the average ticket. He's not making any money off his likeness. Okay? Then you got, if guys at his level who are elite should save themselves if they do get injured and sit out the rest of the year. You know, Charles Barkley won't for that. And then finally, you got the G League option that we saw open up.
Yep.
Should guys forfeit college ball and go into the G League where they can make elite guys make about $125,000 a year and see if they can play a little higher tier of basketball versus college?
I think there's a couple of things to be talked about here. First of all, kudos to Adam Silver for kind of going back on his word. If you kind of remember, this commissioner wanted the age restriction to be higher and wanted to be 20 years old. Now he's coming back on his word, doing really well. I do think the G League is a more valuable option for players because they get to touch 6 figures while being in this transitional league, and kind of get adapted to the NBA. So I think it's a really, really good move.
Okay, let's go across the pond to Louis' home country, France. And we got the 2024 Olympics coming up here. Not the next set, but the set after that. And we see some new sports are going to be added to the roster, Louis.
Yeah. Speaking of new sports, the break dancing might be a part of those Summer Olympics in 2024, and I really don't know how to feel about it, Dre.
All I'm going to say, if they're going to have break dancing in the 2024 Olympics, it better be You Got Served too. Tell them what that comprises of, Louis.
There are 2 conditions here. First of all, if we're doing break dancing here, people, I don't want to see no cute, one-man band in front of a jury.
No,
I want to see a battle. No blood, no foul. I want to see the crowd get into it. I want to see 2 groups and crew going hard at it. I want to see passion. I want to see dope tracks. And I want to see everything they got.
You preaching right now. 7 words. Lil' Kim said it. We better take it to the streets. And there's one man.
Only one.
There's only one man who can do that. Tell him who it is.
The one, the only, the handsome Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey, incredible. First of all, his mustache, let's not even mention it, incredible. But his ability to moderate 2 crews, to moderate the audience and to gauge the audience interest in either crew is just unmatched. And I think that he's the right man for the job.
Okay, I think that's all we got for today, right?
I think that's all that we got too. Now, I'm so sorry about that. Stay tuned and thank you for tuning in to On the Block where the block stays hot. Coming up next is Casey Bannon and Matt Craig, who appears on Golf for Dummies. We'll be right back on Medill Sports Talk.